Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2. Allow me to quickly introduce our Zerg rushing player at the bottom left of the red. It's the Italian Stallion. It's Reynor. On the other side, the newest member and the very first member of Team Navi for StarCraft 2, the Polish Terran powerhouse. It is Spirit. He's been making a greater splash lately and is the first player to be picked up by Navi in StarCraft 2, which is really cool to see. But still, while he might have a solid team behind him now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to have enough to stop the Italian Stallion, especially starting off with the early Zerglings, escalating quickly, unlike the likes and subscribes we beg for every day. Jimmy, what are we? One more. 1,000. Sorry. 1,205 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another series. I heard Reynor had some Protoss games against Cyril. I'm looking out for... and I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Reynor... Oh. Yes, totally. Yeah, can't slip through there. Well, Spirit is able to wall off in time. I think Reynor gambling a little, maybe a command center first. This isn't the best map for the early Reapers. There aren't really a lot of fancy jump locations. There aren't a lot of ways to abuse the map like there are on, say, Site Delta or Hecate, are the more popular ones. But Reynor not really getting much done with the Zerglings, to say the least. Look at the drone count, 17. The Queens are coming out. I think Spirit gets the better end of this so far, as Reynor kind of hamstrung his own economy to try to backstab and cut down Spirit's. But Spirit will build a bunker, delay his command center just slightly, and be able to keep control of the situation with the Reapers. I think gambling a little bit, but understanding with... Okay. Let's back it up just a second. Based on the timing of the expansion that Reynor took, Spirit sees with his Reapers, of course. He realizes it's very unlikely there's going to be Zergling speed. You can't get that many Langs early, an expansion, bunch of Queens, and Zergling speed. The math doesn't check out. Reynor might be good, but he can't bend the laws of space and time and mineral income. Okay, he's not Cyril. So, Spirit's sitting right at the edge of things, and even if there were speedlings, there aren't so many Zerglings that Reapers can't deal with them, or at least buy some time to put up the defenses. But I do like there was the bunker, at least until he scouted it was going to be an economic play. And speaking of economic plays, well, Spirit has 3 command centers himself. Stim on the way. He's on the side of the map that makes it a little easier to protect those add-ons, though. There is a tech lab in the wall. And the third hatchery will be delayed, and the drone taken out as well. Small victories here, but they add up. Spirit, a calm and controlled start. Whereas Reynor does have to scramble a little bit. He's adding a bunch more drones. He's going to get the Reaper, but only committed 1 for the full scout. Sees no lair. Sees no Roach Warren, no evolution chambers, no Baneling nest. It'd be easier to describe what he did see, but I wouldn't be able to fill this sentence with so many words when few words would do the trick. And that's kind of why we're here. What I'm trying to say, and I'm taking a long time to do so, is settle in. Okay, we got double Evo chamber. Spirit will likely be adding on double engineering bay alongside his starport here, and it's very likely both players will be building up to 60, 70 workers even. Maybe a little bit of medevac poking and prodding, but otherwise, the distances are just so long between the bases on this map. I believe it is besides Reticent Station, which is a bit of a weird exception in the map layout. It is the largest map with the largest amount of time between the bases. The WLAs through the center, of course, can help with maneuverability, especially for air units, but overall, rarely factor in and become a huge part of the fights. Except when Banelings and Disruptor hits are coming right towards you. Of course, then it feels a lot more meaningful. All right, a Zergling nibbling on an orbital here. The Marines are just kind of out there. Reynor, yes, 21 lings. The medevacs are on the way across. Not particularly late on this medevac timing. 6 minutes, pretty solid here. And, well, there are no upgrades. The Queens are going to try to hold. Transfuses to help out. Another bounce from the Reapers. And no combat shield quite yet. And a Zergling counterattack. We'll get a couple SCVs, but, oh, the Zerglings back at home as well. Reynor trying to keep him busy, and Spirit has kind of boxed himself into a corner. Thankfully, that corner... No, God! Oh, whoa! Get off my creep! I was about to say, thankfully that corner is some airspace and Queens can no longer fly, but... And here's a scouting SCV, a bit of an odd timing for it. Don't know how that ended up there, but yeah, those are indeed still Queens. Spirit, losing a full medevac really undercuts just the existence. You don't even need to do any damage, but just having 2 medevacs of Marines back there means that Reynor has to keep so many more units at home. 8 Marines in a medevac is scary, but 16 Marines and 2 medevacs is deadly. Alright, Zerglings maybe thought they had an opportunity to jump onto the siege tanks. Unfortunately, oh, the Chew-Toy Depot working exactly as intended here. Reynor does take it out, but he's going to lose so many Zerglings in attempting to do so. And a double drop up to the north side, looking for the 9 o'clock base. Queen's moving into position. 1-1's already done for Reynor. But, yeah, Spirit can't get too much more. That 4th base, very important. Is there a macro hatch yet? Reynor's going to be up to 75 or so drones momentarily. He's already got 2-2 on the way. No infestation pit, notably so far. Zerglings get the wraparound gank in the mid lane, but not going to be enough time to rip those Marines apart before the medevacs slurp them up through their teleportation beams. Banelings looking to roll in. Spirit gets the Marines into the medevac, juggles them into the main. Priest stims as he goes for the 4th. Reynor anticipating it. Another medevac may go down. Oh, just barely not. The Queens targeted. 1-1 now finally done for the Marines. Retreating off the creep. The medevac barely survives. Spirit, well, he's kind of getting shut down at every turn here. Very importantly, he's not losing the medevacs. And that means that Reynor has to keep enough units back at home. The counterattacks are a bit risky. Oh, Painling Mines. Already setting him up this early. Early Burrow is kind of back in fashion. Okay, especially with players like Dark and Cyril. Really using it for infestors. And even, especially Dark, using for Zerglings and Baneling Mines. Occasionally Ultras. Not that that's a huge deal, but Hive Tech is on the way. We've had some skirmishes here. Ooh, Spirit. 1 Baneling connected, but usually need more than 1. So far, losses. 47 Zerglings, 50 Marines. Most of the losses were in that 1 medevac that went down to the Queens. Yes, indeed. Baneling Mines. More on the edge of the W here. That speed zone. It increases the speed of units within by 30, I want to say 5%. I'm not sure if it's 30 or 35, maybe 33. Somewhere in there. Not attack speed, though effectively attack speed for melee units because, you know, they stay in melee range. But just movement speed, to be clear. Still can help you slingshot and catch up or get away, depending on the scenario. Doesn't really affect burrowed units. It does work on units that are burrowed, like infestors, or I guess tunneling claws roaches, but otherwise no real effect. The creep spread is getting out of hand though. Reynor now, it's only been 10 minutes, but he's got a solid 50% of the map and then some. We're getting into that phase of the game. I think this is Reynor's wheelhouse right here, where he has... we're not in the end game. That's where Reynor struggles. But in this late game scenario where it simply comes down... I don't know what that bird is. Alright, watching plenty of foul play here. Why is there a bird distracting me with this bird? Yes, it's still here. This is the most interesting thing happening right now. But when essentially 300 supply Zerg is Reynor's specialty. Just sending units left, right, and center. Not a metaphor, quite literally. Spirit going to try something similar, but already to the north, a whole bunch of Zerglings are setting up for a counterattack. Their queen's down the center, and most of the Zerglings are to the south. Already a fusion core and 4 more command centers on the way, so Spirit wants to lock this down and force it into a war of attrition, which I will tell you right now, I could say with great confidence, Reynor does not want to fight. Reynor now has Vipers on the way, Adrenal Glands, 3-3. Are we going to see an Ultralisk Cavern? There's not a Lurker now, notably. Ghosts are already out. Ghosts ain't bad against Lings and Banes, though, of course, when they have targets to snipe or EMP are usually a bit more cost-effective. They do 2-shot Zerglings and Banelings with their weapons, though. They're just the gun. They have a gun, which is pretty nice. Alright, Zerglings slip through. It's not actually a wall up here, but the siege tanks are able to get massive hits. No cloak on the Ghost means a couple of them will go down just to the Zerglings here. Baneling's trying to roll by. He got several tanks. Two Ghosts, 2 tanks, 4 Marines for the low price of 84 Zerglings and 16 Banelings. Spirit also killing 4 Marines, so a team effort there. There's so many Zerglings. 100 Zerglings on the field. A few dozen Banelings. 99 drones. And creep spread is essentially knocking on the door of Spirit's base here. A drop to the north where Reynor has another hatch. Here come the Vipers looking to break this location. Binding Cloud yanks out the Liberator. The funnel, the maze there, making it very hard for the Banelings and the Zerglings to make it through, but enough Banelings will make it through pretty much anything. And so far, the Zerglings overrunning. The Banelings taking out more of the SCVs. Not that Spirit needs particularly many of them. How many only 4 orbitals. Well, 32 SCVs in the last minute now. But that means Spirit's army supply is always, if he's maxed out, that is always going to be higher than Reynor, who's at 99 drones. Which, at this stage of the game, when you're not even mined out of your main, the income is ridiculous. He's at 4,000 minerals a minute. And he's sitting on 1,200 gas, so they're both mining about the same amount there. The Zergling splitting off. Planetary Fortress. He's drawing tank fire into the Planetary with the Zerglings, hoping to take it out as well. Who actually got the kill? I guess buildings don't show up here. But overall, another command center, the revolving door. Not an ideal scenario, though, for Spirit, who's draining his bank at a rapid pace. He's barely able to max out here. Whereas Reynor has enough to throw this. Reynor's army only costs 600 gas. He has 159 Zerglings. Well, he had 159 Zerglings. He held down the Baneling button and now is building 47 more. I'm not sure why he stopped at that many. He probably just boxed a group of Zerglings and went for it. He has plenty of gas. He could have 100 Banelings right now, but that isn't a particularly efficient unit composition. Spirit still handling the siege with plenty of siege tanks. 11 siege tanks, 7 Liberators, 8 Ghosts, Parasitic Bomb, Abduct, just bashing through the front. Remember when the Zerglings couldn't get through here? Well, he's making up for that now. Meanwhile, though, Spirit is doing some damage on the other side. He's managed to take out one of the bases of Reynor. Obviously, this is going to be the most obvious burrow on the ramp. I can't believe it went. Well, it takes 6 Banelings, by the way, to kill a Ghost with +3 armor, as Ghosts are not light units. So it is very unlikely that a burrowed Bane Bomb is going to do critical damage against the Ghost. But, of course, Marine's a bit more fragile. The Fusion Core, Advanced Ballistics, Ultraless Cavern is on the way. But yeah, this is Reynor. Everything, he's doing whatever he can. Yes, Vipers, sure. Vipers are essentially the crowbar to pry the door open. Whereas Infestors are just a wasting disease. I'm not sure I was going with that analogy, but Infestors take a lot more finesse a lot of the time. And, oh, we got the Zerg Renewable Energy System, where if you have enough queens, they can transfuse buildings to generate more energy for the Vipers. I'm not sure what the sustainable queen to Viper ratio is, especially if you factor in the potential base regeneration of the Zerg. But good to see that Reynor believes in renewable energy for the Zerg here. Advanced Ballistics gonna make things difficult. Already Corruptors on the field. God, that Liberator's so far back. Blinding Cloud on the Planetary, but Zerglings are at melee range, so it still finds targets. More Banelings rolling in. Spirit, another Baneling Mine attempted. He pops it. The Marines, oh, the obligatory post-Baneling Mine scan. A Command Center trying to take another base. Spirit's been limited for a while, but Reynor still losing bases. Ultralisks are on the way, and Spirit has managed to stay at 200 supply. I mean, his army is just massive. 136 to 96 supply for his army right now. Ultralisks are closing the gap, but unless Reynor either gets rid of some of his drones or does some crazy spore cancel trick or something, Spirit's army is just so hard to beat without an overwhelming amount of spellcasters. Like Broodlords, Vipers, Infestors. There's a reason that those are the late game for your some other Zergs. But Reynor wants to end it. He has one more big fight before it's going to be prohibitively expensive. He's only lost 3,400 gas, 500 Zerglings. He's not too far behind in terms of minerals lost, so it's clearly slowing down here a bit. Reynor. Oh my god, there's another bird. Oh my, the Urubu has not yet gone extinct. Maybe the Zerglings were based on it. You know what? They look remarkably similar. Ultralisks are spotted. Creep is nearly to the natural ramp. The Planetary was just barely cleared out, but here come a bunch more Baneling. Vipers looking for an opportunity. Blinding Cloud on the front line. Volley of snipes goes out. Ultralist Blinding Cloud on those tanks at point-blank range, negating most of them, but retreating back. The Ghost trying to get away, bringing in the Banelings. The Banelings actually getting taken out pretty easily. And the start of the fight, as usual, goes pretty well for Reynor. But Spirit turns it around yet again. 100 Zerglings and 5 Ultralisks in production as Reynor re-maxes. That was nearly 100 supply of remax right there. Again. Well, he got 9 siege tanks. He got the Planetary. Oh, but Spirit does keep taking out base. He keeps sending out medevacs and groups of Marines and Marauders, of which he doesn't have too many left. I guess 37 Marines. He's been refilling as siege tanks take quite a while to build. And now mules. The incomes have been drawing closer to even here. And in fact, Spirit, with the mule peaks, is climbing a mountain to a better economic future. Automation to replace the SCVs. Don't tell them that. Still, not a single infestor out of Reynor. He will win without using infestors or die trying. And the longer this goes on, the second one becomes much more likely. As now, Spirit has the same amount of money in the bank. A couple thousand more minerals. Gas, the more relevant part here, but here come the Ultras, the Lings, the Banelings, an overlapping Venn diagram of the Liberation. Blitz the Orbital, probably the ideal move here. The orbitals don't die to banelings nearly as easily. And Reynor, 92 more Zerglings. I'll do it again, and again, and again. But he's decided it's finally time to try winning the game. 2 infestors are in production. Reynor has decided that maybe those ghosts shouldn't be allowed to snipe freely. 100 Zerglings on the field. The problem is, the gas is starting to run low. He's now lost 10,000 more minerals. He got about just over 20,000 minerals on a typical base in StarCraft 2. Few freebies there. The Zerglings might be able to just cut off the production in the main, and Spirit can't really afford to rebuild, well, almost anything easily. You do not want to be rebuilding barracks or command centers. The fact that Spirit has been allowed to just mine through this base in the bottom right, essentially untouched, and now he's actually angling towards the 6 o'clock. The Burrowed Infestor. Oh, yeah, I love how much you can tell Reynor hates this style. Like, he will lose 1,000 Zerglings before even trying the Burrowed Infestor that Cyril would have already made 20 of. It is, in my opinion, a more entertaining style, but there's a reason Cyril builds that Infestor. And it's because the cost efficiency of siege tanks and ghosts and liberators are absolutely unmatched. The Zerglings break through into the main at a heavy price. But now Spirit has to retreat yet again. And any space on the map gives more and more opportunity. How many? 700 Zerglings, 200 Banelings, and that only counts the Banelings that died before they actually attacked. A Baneling that attacks, aka, well, you know, I won't get into too much detail, does not count towards the unit's loss, because it was a unit used. It is kind of a weird scenario. The Infestor trying to do something, badly bruised. Finally, the planetary goes down. Reynor's built up another massive bank as he slowed down the aggression. More Zerglings into the main. Orbitals all over the place, but so many of them, like, over half of the 7 orbitals are in the orange right now. Just a few Zergling claws away from burning, which Reynor's been all over the place. A Zergling in the main. Engineering bay. Is that the last NG bay? Yes, that's his only NG bay, which would be a very awkward thing to lose if you want turrets. Or a planetary. I assume he has... He doesn't have high-sec auto-tracking or building armor, which, you know, building armor might have paid off by now. High-sec auto-tracking is, it doesn't help with detection. So, it should, at this point, I think it would have paid for itself, but the engineering bay actually burned, which means Spirit not going to have missile turrets for a little while, increasing the likelihood that that Infestor gets something done. And now we got Broodlords on the way. Reynor has tried and tried and tried again to make Ultralists and Zerglings and Banelings work, and he still has plenty of them. But now he's building... Oh my god, the Urubu. There are so many things and ultras. Spirit is floating his buildings. I mean, there's no more resources in the main at this point. What's left? He dropped... Oh my god, the Infestor! He doesn't...
Simulation successful.
Oh my god! Did he just EMP the ghost? No. Take me back. I believe Reynor...
The simulation successful.
I think he only got like 1 ghost there. Okay. He tried to EMP the ghosts, which 10 out of 10 planning, about a 2 out of 10 execution. There were at least 10 ghosts there, and he managed to EMP like 2 of them. So 14 spores. Wow. Oh my god. No, no, this is not BM. This is not a bronze leaguer not leaving the game. This is indeed, and he knows Reynor. Spirit and Reynor. I believe it was Spirit versus Reynor that was the longest game of the year. Somewhere like an hour and 20 minutes. We're a long way off of that, but, well, yeah, and Reynor with some of his last Vespene gas has finally gone to the supreme late game army composition. He's dropped down to 48 drones. He is just gutting every bit of production he can get his claws on, and is going to rely on the Broodlord Infestor. The Broodlord Infestor composition is almost as old as Reynor is, being the staple of Wings of Liberty. It has been nerfed half a dozen times since then, but the fact remains that there is no substitute for late game siege, especially something that combines with decent anti-air. Lurkers can work, but they don't help against Liberators. Ultras? Well, our Ultralisks. Only the Broodlord is able to break these positions with potentially enough space to keep the Terran at bay. And even then, well, with the newest patch, a couple months ago now, no longer clickbaiting that, unfortunately, the Broodlord got a speed bump. It's about 20% faster now. But the Broodling that it flings out is down to 20 HP from 30, which means that most, like ghosts and siege tanks pretty easily are able to take it out. And even takes a couple less marine hits to kill. So essentially, getting closer and closer to the Guardian from Brood War. Overall, I would call it a nerf. I think most Zerg players consider it that. Terran players, I mean, you could reduce the Broodlord HP by 50%, but make it 10% louder when it attacks, and still somehow that would be a buff to how Terranifying it is. But now Reynor with Parasitic Bomb. They don't stack, but there are two bombs that can spread over a larger area and get quite close to killing those Liberators. But Reynor doesn't have much gas in the bank at all right now. Spirit is unable to remax. Reynor's at 152. The Infestor's behind, trying to get some of the snipes off. So many Zerglings, more EMPs, but the Fungals catch many of the ghosts here. And the Vipers are still intact. Liberator taking out some of the very few remaining drones, but the Broodlords will stutter step back and forth. The Vipers, more parasitic bombs. The Vikings sliding through it. Gonna lose a whole bunch of the Vikings. And Reynor. Well, he's dismantling this army composition. There's not enough ghosts left over. He wanted to get it done with the Ultras, but instead of standing on principle and then dying for a lack of flexibility, he bends those principles and makes his Spire great again. Spirit has been on the back foot for, well, you know, arguably the entire game. Starting from the very first Zerglings. He got some medevacs out there, but was never able to put together a really seriously damaging attack. A credit that he was able to keep it together for this long, but at the end of the day, the Swarm is far too much. The Broodlord count is too damn high. And Reynor will take it. Quite a dramatic and drawn-out process. Spirit, for better or worse, I think Reynor not a big fan of Spirit style, but Spirit very good at not dying. I love the little details with how he sets up his depots and those bunkers. and just... And it's not like he was playing passive. There's a big difference between defensive and passive, all right? Now, your average Bronze League hero is passive, but Spirit there, keeping him very busy on the map, always killing hatcheries. If Reynor had not switched into Broodlords and Infestors when he did, well, he was running out of money at the end. He waited literally until last call there. Like, well, we got about 4,000, 5,000 more gas, so you could make 80 more Mainlings and 6 more Ultras. Or we could try Infestors. And at the end of the day, well, yes, we can. Exhausting, but quite action-packed. Not nearly as kind of I'm trying not to use the word passive again because I just kind of went back and forth on that. Just constantly sending waves of units. Reynor, I love how you can see. He's like, okay, yeah, and maybe talking to himself. Like, all right, don't throw. How many ladder points have I lost? Well, there are two sides of it. One is losing your ladder points because you don't go for Infestors. And the other is losing your ladder points because you do go for Infestors and you were real optimistic on how long those Infestors would live and how much they would get done. I think the second one is usually more common. Oh yeah, I can totally control Vipers, Infestors, and do anything else ever. And other lies we tell ourselves. Starport. Their command center. Just fall back to the production tab, why don't we? A couple of Hellions on the way. So this time around, it's going to be stock standard, about the what you would call the meta for the last, well, still around 13, going on 14 years of StarCraft 2. We have a Zerg, 2 bases, with Zergling speed on the way, going up towards 3 hatcheries, building some queens. And a Terran with 3 command centers, building Hellions, and angling, I think, towards a Cloaked Banshee. So, you could pull this build order, change some numbers around straight out of 2011. I think 2010 was a disaster piece, if you look at some of those games. But 2011 is when we kind of figured things out, and still find some success today. Lair quite quick here for Reynor. Does he have anything planned for it? Or is it just going to be a quick main speed? No extra gases. I take that back. Just one for now. Overlord. Oh, waited for the Overlord to come in. Keeping the Lair those quick means he will have an Overseer in time to deal with the Banshee. So, convenient enough as well. No Bane Nest. Huh. He's not just gonna go Mutas. Right? He's getting more gas. No Evo chambers. This is certainly an interesting choice. It could work. Especially if he's able to hide it. Yeah, Reynor has nearly 200 gas in the bank and nothing else to spend it on besides the Overseers for now. Gets a couple Evo chambers. Still no main nest. Well, Banshee poking and prodding at the 4th base. That's so much gas. Adds a roach horn? Is this just a straight up hive rush? Ranged attack? Okay. But so much gas. Alright, well. Reynor definitely trying something here. He's got 66 drones. Does not have an infestation pit on the way. Banshee's gonna get decent kills. And behind it, Spirit's at 60 SCVs. Very comfortable economy. Burrow is on the way. If there were 2 roach horns, then a burrow move rush maybe. But yeah, I am a bit I want to try this word out. Flummoxed here. I like it. Not easy to say. Flummoxed. To be somewhat confused, but like in not a too hardcore way. Just like a raising of the eyebrow. Trying to figure out what's going on. And not really coming to a meaningful conclusion. Of course, you can always build dozens of Ravagers with any extra gas you got. Spirit has a solid beat on what's happening, though. Was able to scan the naturals, sees the double Evo, and the Roach Horn upgrading. So does have a lot of the information he needs in order to make educated decisions, like building as many siege tanks as possible and keeping those Banshees at home. A Nidus! Barracks 6 through 8 in production as well. Well, the armory is done. No upgrades yet. I think Spirit realizing he just needs to weather this big attack. Yep. Sees the rocks being taken down. Realizes it's time to try to hold the line. The Nidus definitely could add a wrinkle to this, as the Overseer just chilling in the main. We'll see how quickly Spirit reacts. The Banshees could be very helpful in dealing with the Nidus. The Queens are here alongside the push with the Roach Ravager. And that is a lot of Zerg, and he is not dealing with the Nidus in the main. Finally brings some units back to defend the siege tanks. Bunker falls at the front. Zerglings into the natural. And Reynor is breaking through. They're breaking into the buildings. The Roaches and Ravagers. The creep spread just kind of slingshotting across the map. The Queen's being here. He drops some mules mid-fight, but a double kill on the Ravagers. Get a tank and a medevac. Spirit is desperate for income. Another Nidus in the main. 14 LCVs went down. Not critical damage yet. Here come the Banshees again. They ran out of energy for Cloak. Not that it would matter much anyways. Stims right down the center and kills a bunch of the Ravagers right off the bat. 2-2 is on the way. The Nidus into the main. I can't believe it actually finished. A half dozen Roaches popping out. Reinforcements will have to deal with this. The Banshee comes back to help defend. And that's going to leave the 3rd base vulnerable yet again. Spirit struggling to put enough on the field. Reynor does not have 2-2, and he does not have an infestation pit behind this. But all he needs is one decent fight, and that momentum will shift irretrievably, that's the one, towards Reynor. Had to figure out who would get the momentum if Reynor won the fight. I figured it out all by myself. Reynor would get the momentum. And he's still going, but 2-2 is about to finish. Spirit, the supplies are closer than they were at the start of all this. He's holding, and there's no Nidus in the main. There is no follow-up here from Reynor. It is just Ravagers, Lings, and Roaches. The 2-2 isn't quite done yet. There aren't that many Ravagers. Stutter steps forward, takes out one tank. 2-2 is done, but, well, the upgrades are such a huge deal, but eating any corrosive biles is completely... That is really the only thing that can go wrong now. Didn't bring the medevacs with all that. I think they were out of energy and didn't fall. But now Spirit has the army supply and he has the upgrade advantage. Reynor was struggling with Queens. Struggling might be a bit of a strong word, but he didn't quite break through. I think a bit of a later Roach Ravager push ends up stalling out against the upgrades from Spirit. And now Anitas is headed towards the main, but the Marines are standing their ground and gunning down the Zerg. Spirit turns it around and takes game 2. Wow. A solid hold. It was very dicey there for a moment, but at the end of the day, he holds the line. The upgrades coming through, and they scale so well up against the Roach Ravager. You just have so many Marines and Marauders, especially the Marauders benefiting from it. No, not especially. The Marines as well. Marines and Marauders, upgrades are made. Just, Source, just trust me, bro. Or math. But Reynor with a still incredibly dangerous, if somewhat haphazard, Roach Ravager all in. Spirit, again, on defense. But this time, able to turn it around. We're all tied up going into game number 3, the decider. On Elkioni. Reynor has tried multiple, well, this entire series so far, which only 2 games, but a whole lot of action. Reynor has repeatedly tried to batter Spirit down into submission. But Spirit, very good at not dying, which is why Reynor going for that lair attack timing just didn't quite pan out. He tried to flip the script, I think, because Hard Lead is a map that is pretty notorious at this point for tank pushes. It has a short rush distance. You saw how quick the creep got across the map. So Reynor kind of turned that into a massive queen push. But at the end of the day, not quite enough. Maybe if that first Nidus had gotten a little more done. The second one actually surprisingly getting in as well, but it's very hard to look away when corrosive bowels are raining down. Is that Command Center first? Yeah. Command Center first to the double gas. If Reynor had done the pool first on this map, it's not a game winner necessarily, but the thing is, it's a gamble. All right, it is a significant gamble, and we saw what happened when he was met with 2 racks and a wall off. It became hard to move out again until he was pretty much maxed out. Honestly, that game 1 really turned by that medevac going down. We're at the level. Yeah, Spirit is not Clem, but he's damn close. I think there are only 2 or 3, especially in Europe. Wait, all right, so Clem, Hero Marine, and Spirit. Top 3 Terrans in Europe. I'm not insulting anyone by missing them, right? So, I feel like Clem gives us a skewed perspective on what's a realistic amount of damage that you can do with certain units or certain strategies. Whereas Spirit, clearly, incredibly competent, but even 1 medevac. Reynor's Baneling busting him. You sly dog. You saucy nerd. Corrosive Bile last game, but this time it's just gonna be acid right in his face. Busting into his natural, getting all over his SCVs. Ugh. Well, one of the oldest. This is an old school sort of match so far. Like, just in general, all the games have felt very old school. Using those dated yet still effective strategies, like, you know, Hellion Banshee, Baneling bustin', Ultralisk Zergling, Broodlord Infester. The Hellions, he doesn't know. Those Hellions would not be halfway across the map if he knew. A Zergling. And he's waiting. He's trying to line everything up here. Oh, no! Well, he has 4 Hellions done, which is enough to potentially hold the line. He's not going to stop the Zerglings from getting in, but he can definitely reduce the impact of the Banes as long as he micros the SCVs. Oh, no! It's a disaster! 17 SCVs slaughtered! And... well, he's got 3 orbital. He's dropping mules, which is a bit optimistic right now. Maybe wait until there are less than 20 Zerglings in your base to start dropping mules again. Reynor is starting to build drones behind it. He had to do a lot of damage to make this worth it. But I think he managed to do that damage. 14 SCVs. Well, okay, so each mule counts for about 5 SCVs of mining. They aren't permanent, contrary to popular belief. They feel like it sometimes. So, as the saying goes, a 3 command center Terran is literally never dead. They can revive their economy from essentially nothing. But the big question will be, can Reynor consolidate his and defend against the Banshees? So, the Banshees need to go across the map. He needs to get some damage done. But at the same time, another wave of Zerglings could be devastating. Spirit, you gotta risk it to butter the biscuit, I think, at some point. There's multiple spores, which does cut into the drone count as well. I think he's gonna rush Mutas behind. I love, like, Spirit again. He bends, but did he break? The cracks are there, but Stim is on the way. There's the Spire. Mutas indeed. It's there's not going to be almost any anti-air. If the Banshees aren't... even if the Banshees spot it... oh, he's just sitting back. I think Spirit just took a little bit too much damage. Reynor was able to get his economy running behind. Even while... the difference is, if you're stuffed at the door, you're shut down quickly. While you might do a lot of damage, they can bounce back quickly. But the Zerglings were in the base for... oh no, this is gonna be a muted GG, isn't it? Oh no. One of those games where like 6 mutas get in, and, well, even if there is a turret or 2... oh, the gas is spotted. Trying to get some more damage done. He's trying to slip through the Zerglings, and actually, well... he's gonna spot the Spire, so... killing a handful of drones... it's just not enough. Reynor has gotten his economy to the point where he can bounce back from small losses easily. There are 1 Marines right now, which is not enough to deal with even 3 Mutalisks, let alone 5, let alone however much he ends up with at the end of the day. Looks like the Banshee's got a couple more drones. If he survives the first wave of mutas somehow, well, the Overseer's banking up energy. I think he's going to go for a Contaminate as well in the upgrades. A bunch of idle SCVs here. Spirit clearly scrambling to pull it together. But I think it's just taking too long. The mutas are nearly there. The engineering bays themselves. The Marines technically have stim, but there's just not enough of them. Yeah, without medevacs, the mutas can pick them off. Any contaminated +1 weapons? Not sure if he knew which one was +1 weapons, but definitely the priority. And will Spirit even try to defend his engineering bay? Oh no. He's bleeding. He was crippled. And he's limped his way back. But with the Zerglings, falls back to the mineral line. Well, the medevacs come out at a fortuitous timing, but there are simply no Marines left. The mutas will break through, and the Zerglings will follow. Yet again, taking up residence in Spirit's base. What a hard-fought series. Spirit, like, I like how you can. Reynor's just a little bit. He takes those tiny edges and he uses them to cut through. Spirit, I definitely think he keeps getting better. Overshadowed slightly by Clem. Hard not to be, but still an incredibly competent Terran. It makes for such entertaining games. Unfortunately, this game is over. Reynor's done it. There's nothing left. The muta count is too damn high. Reynor's economy is still perfectly good. It's going to be 2-1 for the Italian stallion. I don't blame him. G. What a tough one. How many thousands of Zerglings and Banelings died in the making? They were very much harmed in the making of this series. But I thought there were some pretty solid games. I hope you did as well. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Thank you for watching. If you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome. Check out Patreon, YouTube membership. Otherwise, we'll make sure that the video's on autoplay, the right one, you know. That actually helps a lot. And of course, like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.